Can you imagine a world where both men and women have the ability to get pregnant? No? Me neither. And luckily you don't have to, as this 1994 hit comedy is doing it for you. I am of course talking about the film Junior, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito and Emma Thompson. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, or as usual, I'll kill the family dog. So this film marks the return of Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger working together since 1988's classic Twins, also directed by Ivan Reitman, the awesome director behind Ghostbusters, Kindergarten Cop, and apparently No Strings Attached, that 2011 Friends with Benefits ripoff with Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman. Yeah, wasn't expecting that. Anyway, Arnold's Dr. Alex Heese and DeVito's Dr. Larry Arbogast are professors at a university, and they've created a new drug that will allow people that can't have babies to fulfill their wildest dream. Unfortunately, the FDA shut down their experiments and refused them to perform any human experimentations. Confident in the project and with a huge 300 grand sunk into it, Larry Arbogast stops and convinces Heese from taking a flight back to his home country of Austria, and somehow Arbogast not only convinces Hess to stay, but he also convinces him to take the treatment himself in a secret experiment going against the FDA's approval. Heese moves in with Arbogast to monitor the progress. The plan is just to get to the first term or whatever, I don't really understand pregnancy, and to just show the progress to some of Arbogast's Canadian pharmaceutical contacts. As time goes on though, he starts to show signs of early pregnancy, morning sickness, itchy nipples, and more feminine motherly feeling, narrowly avoiding attention from the university's dean and member of the FDA board, who is trying to catch him out the entire movie. Because this film and their plan is so fucking stupid, nobody ever suspects anything. Coming up with some fake illness that is only found in his rare town of Austria or whatever, somehow a school full of smart people doesn't use their head and figure it out. Oh yeah, shit. Emma Thompson is in this movie as a bumbling British doctor, Diana Redding, who takes over the lab after Heese and Arbogast lose their approval. She is a mate who allows them to use some lab time and lab space and some resources, but Diana and Heese, they start having so romantic feelings. Arnold would absolutely destroy Emma Thompson. Like, boom, absolutely in the ground. Anyway, long story short, Heese and his motherly instincts now want to keep the baby, much to Arbogast's dismay, but he agrees to help him with the pregnancy. Heese asks Arbogast, where did you get this egg from? And he says, oh, he had a mate like with one spare lying around, you know, because everyone's just got some embryos or whatever lying around. But the truth is, he actually took it from Emma Thompson's lab, and it turned out to be her egg. So Arnie has to try and confront her, one about being pregnant, but also two, she's the mother slash father slash whatever. I don't really understand. It feels really like woke, but it's 1994, baby. Don't worry about it. I would love this movie to come out now. It would be filled with so much gender identification propaganda and political movements about what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a man, and men should stay in their lane, all this. And instead, this is just a fun, stupid ass movie. Anyway, I kind of dropped off a little bit towards the end, gonna be honest, but there is a hilarious bit where Arbogast takes Heese to the pregnant women retreat while he goes to Canada to talk to some of his people. Arnie is in full women clothing doing a terrible woman voice, and the image of that will forever be burnt into my head and will ever be funny. He has the baby. He dreams about the baby earlier in the movie. I haven't mentioned that. It is absolutely fucking terrifying. Like, absolutely terrifying. It's his face. You've probably seen it on Corridor Crew. Digitally, like, planted onto this baby, and it's just the proportions are off. Everything is terrifying, and yeah. Anyway, so they had the baby, and they live ever happy ever after, pretty much. Woo! Junior released in the US on the 23rd of November with a budget of $60 million, which I can imagine most of it went to its stars. It made a pretty decent $108.4 million, not as good as the previous Reitman-Schwarzenegger collaborations, such as Twins, which made a whopping $217 million, and Kindergarten Cop, which made $202. I just can't believe this came out the same year as True Lies. It feels like a completely different decade, and that's also another great movie that I've actually covered on this channel, so go check it out. This movie had the original title of Oh Baby. The film was announced during the production of Reitman's film Dave as a reunion for him and Schwarzenegger since 1990's Kindergarten Cop. Who wouldn't want to work with the Austrian Hollywood powerhouse that was Arnie in the mid-90s? Who can blame a man? Executive producer Beverly J. Kane and writers Kevin Wade and Chris Conrad wrote the script together in 1990 over the course of just under a year, with the central conception of what if a man could have babies? I mean, I could have fucking told you that. So, of course, there were some alternate castings that people thought about for the roles, such as the troublesome Mel Gibson, who came so close to signing for the role before he had to pull out after lining his church's stance on the material. My favourite man, Woody Harrelson, also responded well to the script, but the studio didn't think he had enough clout to carry him at this point in his career, and I don't think he would have. And also, it would have been a very different movie. Not a bad one. I think he has the comedy chops to do a great job, but
You know what?
You guys are freaks.
the fact that Arnold is a mountain of a man and the, in quotations, peak of physical man, this makes it extra funny seeing him pick flowers, carrying a bump around, being a little gay. Anyway, Arnold and his wife were blown away by the script, and they were really vital from the beginning of getting this movie off the ground. Emma Thompson signed on to star in February 1994 following her Academy Award nominations for The Remaining of the Day and In the Name of the Father. With a shocking 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, modern audiences still think this is a funny, stupid, but also pointless movie, but I think it's part of the charm and creativity that we saw in so many great and not so great movies of the 80s and 90s. Stupid concepts, but very well done. Nobody else would ever think to make something like this, and also make it so bloody wholesome. It takes itself so seriously, and it's all better for it. Nowadays, especially the 2000s, it would have been some slapstick, big mama house ripoff like Vin Diesel or The Rock or something in it. Just stupid shit. Despite it being a strange idea with deadpan performances and an odd sense of humor, I actually had a really good fucking time with it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm never gonna watch it again, and am I glad I watched it? Maybe, yeah, I suppose. Either way, I can recommend it if you're a fan of quirky 90s comedies, or even a fan of Arnie, Devito, or Emma Thompson herself, even though she doesn't really do much in this movie, but oh my god, maybe that's the whole point. Women can't get pregnant, and men do everything. It makes women pointless, and that's kind of like this movie, a little pointless. Anyway, it's crazy. And that's all, folks. Come back next week where I'm going to be continuing the Schwarzenegger-Reitman trilogy with Twins, later looking at Kindergarten Cop. But like, comment, and subscribe, or as usual, I'll kill the family dog. Cheers, bye.